Everybody loves undefeated fighters in the UFC. You see these guys, you know what you say? Oh my god, undefeated. They must be good. I wonder how long they're going to stay undefeated. Who's going to be the first person to beat them? Oh, this could be the matchup that finally does them in. But which undefeated fighters are going to lose their 0 first? Which of them are going to have that bitter taste of defeat first? I will be giving my picks of who will be losing their 0 first. And we're going to start off with the undefeated flyweights. They got 4 really notable undefeated flyweights right now. Okay, Tatsuro Taira, number 13, 15-0, professional, 5-0 in the UFC. Momaev, number 7, 12-0, professional, 6-0 in the UFC. Rafael Estevam, 12-0 professional, 1-0 in the UFC. And Hyung-Sung Park, 9-0 professional, and 2-0 UFC. Now, there's another one, Ray, I think his name is Ray Surayaya, who won Season 2 of Road to UFC. But I'm not putting him on this list because while Hyung-Sung Park, technically, his Road to UFC final was on Lewis versus Spivak, so I will count that because it was on an actual UFC card. It was on the card. But Ray Tsurayuya's was its own like Road to UFC event. So I'm not counting his as a professional fight. The same with Rinya Nakamura. I'll count Rinya Nakamura's Road to UFC finals. But that's because it was on Lewis versus Spivak. I'm counting those because they were on an actual UFC card. So Hyung-Sung Park, so Rafael Estevam, 12-0 professional, 1-0 in the UFC, and Hyung-Sung Park, 9-0 professional, 2-0 in the UFC. All these fighters are great except one. I'm kind of a fucking hater. But all these fighters are great. They have skills that are able to get them to the top 10. But I just think Momaev is going to lose his own first. He has mediocre striking compared to the top level division. His wrestling is not as good as we thought. I know that says though, but that's I meant to say thought. Couldn't take down and hold down Perez, even though Perez had a 1.5-year layoff. He's huge for the division, but he can't utilize his size properly. I think his luck's run out against Perez, and I'm pretty positive he'll lose to Brandon Royval and Alexandre Pantoja. Because, like, Royval, I think, just has better striking and better, like, jiu-jitsu and grappling. Pantoja, I think, is maybe not bigger, but definitely stronger and has better striking. I just don't see... I just don't see him beating people in the top 5. Brandon Moreno beats him, I think. Nicolau beats him. Cave beats him. Albazi is literally Momaev, but good. I know Albazi got a robbery against Kai France, but, like, at least Albazi's decent. Albazi has decent striking. And he has actual, like, decent wrestling. I don't think Momaev could grapple Kai France the way Albazi grappled Kai France. I think Kai France would fucking sleep Momaev. But I think Momaev in his next fight will probably lose. Especially if it's against Pantoja, he's definitely losing. If against Royval, there's a chance because Royval just doesn't have knockout power, but I think Royval would still be able to submit him. And for some reason, I'm just on this trend of where I think fighters will just randomly get a go-go plot, and I think Royval gets it. Bantamweight. We got the number 10 ranked Umar Nurmagomedov, 17-0 as a professional, 5-0 in the UFC. Daniel Marcos, 15-0 as a professional, 2-0 in the UFC. Rinya Nakamura, 9-0 as a professional, 3-0 in the UFC. Farid Basharat, 12-0 as a professional, 3-0 in the UFC. Peyton Talbot, 7-0 as a professional, 1-0 in the UFC. I'm not counting Dana White's Contender Series fights as well. To their UFC record. Just to their UFC record. It's the same principle as the Road to UFC finalists for Season 2. Since they haven't really made their debut. like Ray Satsutsuya or and like Yiza. I can't pronounce that fucking flyweight winner's name, dude. I can't. But since they was like on its own separate event, I'm not counting that towards the UFC record. But I will count, you know, the season 1 winners because they made their debut on Lewis versus Spivak. And if you go to their record, it shows the fight event. It doesn't say Road to UFC season 1 finale. It says Lewis versus Spivak. And I'm not counting Dana White's Contender Series fight. But all of them are really good, actually. I don't think I have a bad thing to say about any one of them. Honestly, as a dream fight right now, I'd like to see Rinya Nakamura versus Umar Nurmagomedov. That sounds fucking awesome. But I think Farid Basharat, I think he loses 0 first. When I say just about ready for the top 15, I mean he's racked up enough wins to get that top 15 fight. I just don't think he has the most notable skills that would make him a threat to the top 15. I mean, he has decent wrestling control, but his only finish was against a short notice, and I'm pretty sure it was short notice. Clayton Rodriguez took the fight short notice and moved up. I don't think it was short notice, actually. I feel like I'm misremembering that. Let me look that up real quick. Hold on, this will only take a second. Farid Basharat. Go to Tapology. What was this? Oh no, this was not short notice. Huh? This was on Gone versus It wasn't short notice. My fault. But it was still a flyweight moving up to bantamweight. And I'm pretty sure it was his only submission in the UFC. Decent striking, not terrible. Honestly, skill for skill, this guy's leagues better than Muhammad Momaev. I just think the top 15 of bantamweight, I just think they'll be able to beat him, dude. I just do. I think they'll be able to beat him, and I think the best guys will outstrike him. I think they'll be able to out-wrestle him, out-grapple him. I mean, his brother Javid Basharat. Javid was a minus 900 favorite against Ayman Zahabi and got beat the fuck up. Honestly, I say feed Farid Basharat to Ayman Zahabi. Give him 2 undefeated. Give him the Basharat brothers. We'll see how good Farid is. If Farid can beat Ayman Zahabi, fuck. I just don't think he has anything special about him that would lead me to believe he'll be able to beat the top 15 guys. I think he'll probably have one more win against someone outside the top 15, but then I mean he has a decent win over Damon Blackshear, and Blackshear is pretty good. I just think the top 15 are a different level for him. I think a guy like Mario Batista would be able to beat him. After watching Kyler Phillips' performance, I think Phillips would be able to beat him. I just don't see anything unique about him that would make him too much of a threat. We got the featherweights now. And we got the champ, Ilia Topuria, 15-0 professional, 7-0 in the UFC. The number 5, Movsar Evloev, 18-0 as a professional, 8-0 in the UFC. Lerone Murphy, 13-0 as a professional, 5-0 in the UFC. I'm not going to throw in the draw because who the fuck cares about the draw anyways. He didn't lose or win. We're only focused on who's going to win or lose. Isaac Dogarian, 6-0 as a professional, 1-0 in the UFC. And Haider Emil, 9-0 as a professional, 1-0 in the UFC. All these guys are really fucking good. I think they're all really fucking good. All of them have made their debut. All of them except one. One of them hasn't gotten a finish in the UFC. And all of them have had good performances. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Well, he's gonna say Movzar Evloev. He's a Dagestani hater. I do want to, but I'm not. Look at them big fucking fat titties. Look at them fucking fat ass titty, bruh. God damn, he got some titties on him. I think Hyder Emil is gonna lose first. Now I think it's easy for me to just be like, oh well, for people to say, oh well, he's not top 15. Of course he's gonna lose to these guys. He's got to lose eventually. He's not some goat yet. He hasn't showed he's a threat yet. I mean, his debut was fucking awesome. The guy's great heart. He has great heart. Fucking cardio of a madman. The guy just doesn't stop. He refuses to. You can tell when he's throwing, he's tired. He just refuses to slow down. His body's quitting. His mind refuses. He's got some decent power in his hands. Relentless pressure. I just think his style's a bit too reckless. I think if he doesn't learn how pace himself a little bit better, and sharpen his skills, his striking skills, and a bit more work on his defense, if he doesn't do that, he's getting knocked out by someone with power. I think like a Garrett Armfield, after seeing his last performance, I think Garrett Armfield would knock out Hyder Emil. And this isn't to diss Hyder Emil. I fucking like him. I watched his debut. I was like, oh, let's fucking go. The man was just throwing. He opened up the fight throwing. Throwing bombs. I mean, the guy's got good grappling too. He's got good wrestling. I just think his style's a bit too reckless. I think when he fights, he's too willing to go for the finish at all times. The guy's always going for the finish. Everything he does is to get the finish. And I respect it. But it's too reckless. I think if he fights someone with enough skill and enough heart, who can weather the storm with power in their hands, I think he could get clipped, and I think he could get dropped, and I think he could get put out. But we'll never know until that day comes. Who knows? He might be the fucking GOAT. And Isaac Dolgarian is fighting tomorrow. This guy, Isaac Dolgarian, he's fighting Christian Rodriguez tomorrow. Christian Rodriguez could be the one to beat Isaac Dolgarian. I bet on Christian Rodriguez. But then again, I don't know. I just think Hyder Emil is more likely to lose to his next opponent than Isaac Dolgarian would be to lose to Christian Rodriguez. But I think that really depends on his next opponent. And, you know, all respect to Hyder Emil, I like him, but I just think his style is a bit too reckless right now. Who knows, maybe in his next fight he shows a bit more patience, a bit more pace. And I like his pressure. He has good pressure. I just think he needs to be a little sharper with his defense, and he needs to, like, be a little bit more patient, a little bit more calculated. Lightweight, there's literally only one fighter who's undefeated throughout their entire career. Welterweight. We got the number 7, Ian Gary, 14-0 as a professional, 7-0 in the UFC. Shavkat Rakhmonov, number 3, 18-0 as a professional, 6-0 in the UFC. Michael Morales, 16-0 professional, 4-0 in the UFC. And Danny Barlow, 8-0 as a professional, 1-0 in the UFC. All these guys are good. I like them all. Now, I'm probably not... You guys know that I'm probably not picking Ian Gary and Shavkat. But, honestly, here's what I think. I think if Ian Gary's next fight... I think if Ian Gary fights MVP next, he loses. But I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna fight... What's his face? I think he's gonna fight Colby. And if Shavkat Rakhmonov fights JDM next, I think JDM would beat Shavkat. If JDM doesn't break his arm in the first round like he did against Burns, I think he beats Shavkat. And even then, against Burns with a broken arm, he was able to scramble, get back to his feet, knee Burns in the face, and finish Burns. It's like Bilal Muhammad couldn't finish a one-armed Burns, but a one-armed JDM could finish Burns. Does that make Bilal Muhammad shit or Jack Della Maddalena the GOAT? All jokes aside, I think all of these guys have the potential to lose their next fight if it's the wrong fight or if it's the right fight. But I just think Michael Morales is the most likely. The guy's good all around. He's good power. There's nothing really incredible about this game that wows me. I mean, he utilizes his long reach for fight. He has a really long fucking reach. I think he's like 6 foot with like a... I think he's like 6 foot, 6'1" with like a 78-inch reach. Something like that. Let me look it up real quick. I have my phone right here so I can just do it really quick. Hold on. Why does it show like a random... Okay, yeah, he's 6 foot, and what's his reach? He's 6 foot with a 79-inch reach. I mean, the guy has freakishly long arms. I just think the moment you take that away from him, you take that reach advantage away, I think he gets pieced up and maybe knocked out. Who knows? I thought that against Kevin Holland and MVP. But I think if you give him someone like Randy Brown, who's a much more calculated striker than Kevin Holland, I think Randy Brown would beat Michael Morales. I think he's taller and with the same reach. I'm pretty sure Randy Brown has a 79-inch reach. Let me just look at Tapology really quick. What does it say? He has a 78-inch reach. Still, I think Randy Brown would probably piece up Michael Morales. And who knows, maybe he knocks him out. I just don't see anything special that Michael Morales said. Like, he beats a lot of the guys outside of the rankings. I think he beats a majority of them. But I think once he enters that top 15, enters guys like Randy Brown, I think that's where he'll meet his match. Middleweight. We got everyone's favorite. Brother, I smash, brother. Brother, I smash. Number 11, Khamzat Chimaev, even though he shouldn't be ranked. 13-0 as a professional, 7-0 in the UFC. Shouldn't be a ranked middleweight. Didn't beat a middleweight. Hasn't beat a middleweight yet. Besides fucking Gerald Mearshart. We got Bo Nickel, 5-0 as a professional, 2-0 in the UFC. Now fighting Cody Brundage. What the fuck? He should be fighting one of these guys. Even Ikram Aliskerov. But I can't put Ikram on this list because Khamzat Chimaev knocked him the fuck out. We got Shar Magomedov, 12-0 as a professional, 1-0 in the UFC. Aliashkab Kizriev, 14-0 as a professional, 1-0 in the UFC. Under normal circumstances, I would say Aliashkab Kizriev. This fucker doesn't fight for more than once every 4 decades. He had to take like 3 years off because he was too fat and had to cut enough, and he had to diet down so he could get these abs. And his last opponent, Makhmud Muradov, he reached in, grabbed, and pulled his eye out. Not really, that's an over-exaggeration. But he poked Makhmud Muradov in the eye so bad, 10 seconds in, that it had to be called off. And I think Muradov had to get surgery on his eye. I think he literally could not see. I think it went black in that eye. I think Shara Bullet is probably going to lose first. Do not get me wrong. This guy's striking is fucking awesome. Credible striking, amazing kicks and diversity in his striking. I mean, dude, have you seen him? Have you seen him when he threw hands on that couple? When he beat the shit out of that guy because he kissed his wife in public? Dude, he fucking pieced that guy up. He's like the only Dagestani fighter that cannot wrestle to save his life. Bruno Silva was able to take him down and ragdoll him for most of that fight. Now, was Bruno Silva getting fucked up off his back? Yeah. He was still able to take down and control Shara Bullet. I think the moment he fights someone with high-level grappling, he gets subbed easily. I think Marvin Vettori takes him down and subs him. I think Brendan Allen takes him down and subs him. I think Khamzat does it. I think Paul Craig does it. Maybe not Paul Craig. I was really reaching for that one. But I still think he could. I still think if it gets to the ground, Paul Craig subs him. I think Caio Borralho subs him. I think Hernandez subs him. And I think, yeah, Joe Pyfer just got fraud checked by what's his face. He just got fraud checked by Jack Hermanson. I think Jack Hermanson subs Chara, and I think Joe Pyfer subs him. On the feet, it's a different story. On the feet, I think he beats Vettori. On the feet, I think he beat... Well, maybe not Vettori. Vettori could literally just, like, walk forward and just throw hands. I think he beats Vettori on the feet, though. Probably. Maybe. I think he beats Allen on the feet. I think he beats Khamzat on the feet. I think... Not even a question he beats Paul Craig on the feet. I think he beats Borralho on the feet, Hernandez, Joe Pyfer, and Jack Hermanson all on the feet. Maybe not Jack Hermanson. Hey, you know how it is. Third round, Jack Hermanson. Second half of the fight, Hermanson. It's a different beast. He's a different beast in that second half. Round 3 and on, Jack Hermanson's a different animal. Just think he's a different... I don't know. On the feet, I think Chara's a different beast. But on the ground, he is not a different beast at all. In fact, he's not even a beast. He's not even different. When he's on the ground, he is just on the ground. He could do good work off his back, but I just think any one of these guys, if they got him to the ground, they could sub him. Light heavyweight. We have the number 13 Azamat Murzakanov versus... Oh, not versus. Just 13-0 as a professional, 3-0 in the UFC. Vitor Petrino, number 15, 11-0 as a professional, 4-0 in the UFC. Both of these guys are honestly pretty fucking good. Vitor Petrino kind of had a boring ass performance, you know, against Tyson Pedro. But, you know, I think he showcased decent striking. I mean, look at Vitor Petrino. He's a very big and physical dude. Azamat Murzakanov, fucking... Lucas Tracy goes crazy over this guy because, you know, Azamat Murzakanov, as he likes to say, is density maxing. And honestly, he is. This guy, I've seen this guy literally jump. I've seen him, like, squat down and jump above the height of the cage. I mean, he's a fucking freak. Murzakonov's a freak. He's super explosive for being his size and weight. Really fast. He was able to drop Dustin Jacoby and outstrike him when Jacoby's a former Glory kickboxing contender. And Vitor Petrino, just a big physical dude, well-rounded game, good grappling, good submission threat, fucking incredible knockout power. I just think Azamat Murzakanov would probably lose before him. Really good striking, little dense ball of fast twitch, explosive ass muscle. I don't think he loses soon. I don't think he loses either of his next 2 fights. I mean, I thought he was going to lose against Khalil Roundtree. I would have picked Khalil Roundtree against Murzakanov. But that's because Khalil Roundtree is a different... Like my video on most exciting fighters, he fights like a high school bully. Murzakanov ain't... Like, he's never been thrown into a trash can or anything like that. He's never got into any street fights. I think when he gets to the top 5, he'll lose to the really exceptional strikers who can outreach him. Like a Yuri Prohaska, I think would be able to do it because a little bit of a unique style, longer reach, really good striking, good movement. I think he could I think he could maybe make it to a title fight. But, like, those really, really good strikers, I just don't think he could beat. I think he could beat, like, a Rakic, maybe, like, a Blachowicz. But, like, a Prohaska, a Hill, an Ankalaev, a Pereira, I think they would probably be able to outstrike him and maybe knock him out. Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember much of this guy's chin and how it holds up, but He's a fucking dense guy, so it probably holds up really well. I just see him losing before I see Vitor Petrino losing. Because I just think Vitor Petrino's better built for the division. And heavyweight, we have literally two guys in Robelis Despain and Mick Parkin. Now, if there were two undefeated fighters in lightweight, I would have done it. But Tom Nolan got knocked out. Other guys, it's just there's not a lot, like Islam is the one loss. There's just a lot of guys in lightweight who are just one loss, and it's like I'm not gonna just make an exception for lightweight, so I just skipped over it. The only guy in lightweight who was really undefeated is Narulo Aliev. Robelis Despain and Mick Parkin. Robelis Despain is 5-0 as a professional, 1-0 in the UFC. Mick Parkin 8-0 as a professional, 2-0 in the UFC. I'm just gonna get straight into it. I think Mick Parkin will probably lose before him. He's a good striker. He's got good leg kicks, bullish power. His next fight is against Mohamed Usman. He's not losing to Mohamed Usman, I can tell you that much. I just don't see him losing to Despain, because Despain's a fucking Cuban freak of nature. For some reason, Cuba randomly, like every 10 years, will produce a guy that'll join the UFC at 35 that will stay in there for 10 years. It's not that I see Parkin losing, it's that I don't see Robelis losing. I could see Parkin maybe losing to like a good top 10 grappler like Spivak, but then again, I don't really know how good his grappling is yet. He fought Jamal Pogues. I don't really remember that fight too well. I know he was chopping at Pogues' legs and piecing him up for the most part. But it's kind of just like the average, just like kind of fat or heavyweight. I don't know, maybe if he like slimmed down a bit and cut and it was more muscle carried on him. Maybe I could see him, and maybe if he showcases his grappling against Usman and takes Usman down. I don't see him losing to Mohamed Usman, but maybe against a top 10 striker or a top 10 grappler, like maybe a Rosenstrike or maybe a Spivak would be able to beat him. I picked Rosenstrike to beat Gaziev. Fuck you guys. I think both these guys beat Gaziev. I think Robelis beats Gaziev, and I think Parkin beats Gaziev. I know I put Mikolas up there because I thought it was funny. And that's it. That's the end of the list. Not going over the women's. You can call me sexist if you want. I just don't want to cover him. I only like Zhang Wei Li, Alexa Grasso, and Jessica Andrade. Not only, but those are the ones I can really list off the top of my head. That's about it. See ya.